Good morning, everybody.
Morning, everyone. How are you?
Welcome to our kitchen.
We can't tell you why we're facing around this way. But suffice to say, we've had a bit of a disaster, and we don't want to reveal it before you see it in Vlogmas.
Morning, everyone. How are we all? How are you? How are you? Get Nadia further over. It's really weird. You always edge out of frame. I can't get you. Right there.
Look how close I am.
No, I know. We can
There's
be more
nowhere else
closer.
I can go.
No, I know. I just think your head is lopsided. Hi, April Hill. Hi, Anna Phillips. Hi, everyone. It's that blowing. It's so annoying, isn't it?
Morning.
Morning, Tilly Long. How are you all? Feels like it's been a while. I think it has. We didn't do coffee moaning on Saturday. Didn't do a coffee moaning on Friday. So yeah, it has been a while. It's been 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, but we have been busy. Guys, thanks so much for all your brilliant comments on Vlogmas. We have a real giggle reading it. Mark literally laughs out loud with some of the comments.
Yes, so
some
Dina.
of the insight.
Yeah.
Oh my! As you know, I get really embarrassed about watching it, but I did watch some of it. The macing from Dina. She looks like a maniac.
Yeah, well, she is a maniac.
Anyway, Vlogmas is going really well. Thank you so much. We know you're enjoying it because you tell us, which is great. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and check out our Vlogmas, because Vlogmas is a bubble away from all the other horrors of the world, and you're just in the horrors of our life. Looking over there. You'll see it. It will be revealed in Vlogmas.
Yeah, a couple of people were saying it's like it is literally like a sitcom this year, isn't it?
Dina,
it's
you
like
and
a
Dina.
Scripted sitcom. It's just
you and Dina.
But the thing that I love, and what I love about you two is you don't realise how easily I can just trigger you both into the most ludicrous
Right, well, will you stop doing poor you?
Who's doing poor you? Who's done that?
Like we're picking on you.
Well, you are.
I love you.
You are, but I also know how to get back at you, which is just I throw dynamite between the two of you, and
my God, some of those conversations where Dina gets in depth about Gingerbread House. Anyway, enough, because not everybody here is here for Vlogmas. Some of you are here for coffee moaning.
Yeah, and if you're here for the news, God, what a shit show.
And if this is your first time here with coffee moaning, it's a bit of every day it's a little bit different. Sometimes there's a lot of heavy news and we do it, but we try and have a bit of fun in between.
We're not a news, we homed in on, we're not a news channel.
No, we're not journalists.
We have a healthy disregard and circumspection around the mainstream media. For those of you who followed us for a long time, but if you're new, we have a particularly close kind of affinity with the Palestinian cause, the conflict that's happened there over the last almost year and a half, well, certainly year and a quarter. And we followed that and we've talked about that, and it's flagged up such gross injustices globally, politically, humanitarianly, and everything else. So we do tackle or try to talk about and deal with some of the bigger topics, which is why, for example, Syria is in the news. We can't talk about the Middle East and pick and choose and sort of tiptoe around parts of what's going on there and not other parts. It's very complex. It's very confusing.
I'm literally catching up. I'm saying to Mark, what else can I watch? What else can I read? Because it is complicated.
Well, and also, and the weird thing about this, really interesting, Nadia was asking that last night. And when we would when you do read around Syria and you look into it, now, we've often talked to Nadia's father, Teddy, obviously he's Jordanian. He's a gold mine of information and nuance and knowledge about the Middle East, because he's threaded through with it. But the situation in Syria is, from even his terms, when he describes it, is one of the most complex kind of collision of so many different kind of Shia, Sunni, is it Alawites, which I think Assad was, so many different sort of permutations of religious, tribal, and Muslim, Islamic groupings, Christian, etc. So the news that's happening at the moment, you will, let yourself off the hook if you think, my God, I thought Palestine, Gaza, and the Israel crisis was complex. It's about to get a whole heap more complicated right now, but it's significant.
Except I don't think the Gaza-Israel.
No, absolutely. But a lot of people feel it is.
Yeah, and the ramifications are very complex and are spreading across and right across the world. It's affecting everything. It's affecting American elections, everything. But just quickly on that.
Look at that. Can I just say, Reese Roberts, thank Reese, you're such a sweetheart. You guys are so well researched on the topics you choose that you can claim journalistic tendencies, even if you are not technically a journalist.
Thank you. But I suppose the way we like to think of it is we talk about stuff in the way that you would if you were sat with your friends or like, you know, you're having people around for dinner and this
Yeah,
is all
yeah,
the
yeah.
stuff you sort of chat. So that's very much our vibe. We're having a nightmare today
Yeah.
with the sun.
Yeah.
So please do forgive us. You're seeing the messy kitchen at the back. Yeah, so sorry, Mark, carry on.
No, so on the Syria question, so you'll have seen lots of reports saying Syrian rebels have overthrown Assad, the dictator leader of Syria. Just to give you a sense of where Syria sits or has sat up until now with Assad, Syria very much allied with Russia. Russia has very much supported Assad's regime, allied with Iran. Syria, an incredibly sort of important ally for Iran because it allows them to, fuel and fund and get arms to Hezbollah. So Syria is an incredibly logistically strategic kind of country in the Middle East. And Russia, and the reason it's kind of significant that it's fallen so quickly, or Assad's regime has fallen so quickly, is it really does point to a number of things in the area that are all happening at the same time. On the one hand, Russia is distracted by Ukraine. So it's really interesting that Russia didn't leap to Syria's defense, though they've taken Assad in. He's sought asylum, him and his family in Moscow.
Lucky him, he was allowed to escape what was going to come to him.
Absolutely.
Unlike the hundreds of thousands that the most appalling things have been done to
his regime. The Assad regime had, you'll be seeing images of hundreds of thousands of people released from prisons from the most awful, torturous conditions.
My God.
I mean, there's still apparently today, emergency services are going into the basements of various prison blocks, discovering secret tombs and secret cells and torture chambers. So you've got lots of this imagery coming through.
And some of it, oh my God, I've been saying to you, haven't I? Oh my God, these videos of them going into I'm just trying to find the actual name of the prison. Within Syria, a very famous prison that you knew if your family member was going in there, you probably not going to see them again. And truly, truly horrific. So watching them opening up the doors and saying that they can come out and they're almost too scared to step out the door. Oh my God, it's just awful.
And I think, and some of the things about the Syrian situation, what we're seeing here is what I'm likening it to, and I don't know if there's anyone else here who's infinitely more well informed. It feels very much like the Libyan situation, where a kind of fragile kind of not peace, but a dictatorial, cruel, autocratic regime managed to hold a country together in some weird way. And of course, Syria wasn't being held together. Yeah. There's been a civil war for years. But when Gaddafi went in Libya, suddenly it cracked open, and suddenly lawlessness crept in. And I think the fear and the feeling here is Assad was awful, evil, has gone. Good. That's good. That's good. But in that, when they talk about things called power vacuums, these are real things. It happened in Iraq after the Iraq War. It happened in Libya. It's still going on in Libya. It happens in countries where essentially opportunistic groups and sects and organizations with vying kind of priorities sort of fill the void, seep in, and seek to take control. And what's interesting, or kind of troubling and interesting about this, is in a weird way, there are so many different angles on this. So a lot of people are saying about the Golan Heights, which is a disputed area of territory with Israel. I think it's fair to say that there's no coincidence that this surge and this overthrow of Assad has happened within the immediate shadow of everything that's going on with Israel and other countries in the area. This cannot be coincidental. This is not coincidental. And what you're hearing, someone just said, what's going on in the Golan Heights? The Golan Heights is a disputed strip of land between Israel and Syria that Israel occupied and have taken sort of in similar fashion to Gaza, other occupied territories. It was a disputed land with Syria. And what Israel has done, not surprisingly, is they've sought to make secure, or kind of, if you like, permanent or confirm that zone. So they've sent loads of troops there. There's a buffer zone, which in kind of in occupation terms is really another word for occupying. So what Israel is seeking to do is almost strengthen their claim on a disputed piece of land. And why you're hearing that the Israelis are firing rockets and taking out arms depots and missile depots and all this kind of stuff is because in this power vacuum, Israel aren't certain that whoever comes in after Assad are necessarily going to be favorable to Israel. This doesn't, just because Israel, it's that idea that sometimes chaos and uncertainty suits many different people at different times. And at this moment, the chaos and uncertainty suits Israel, not in a occupy Syria, take it over way, but can make concrete their claims on their part of the Golan Heights, secure it. But they're also, the reason they're attacking areas within Syria is to make sure that whatever regime does come in, and Iran are already contacting the rebels that have taken power. The Iranian connection with the rebels is developing. I think Israel is hedging their bets and trying to make sure that when and if the new government in Syria takes over and they're anti-Israel or as anti-Israel as, say, Hezbollah are, they don't have the weaponry of the Syrian army.
And I mean, we really are finding God. That was so well done, by the way.
Was it? I mean, and that's not everything. One of the key organisations.
No, never be everything.
No, but the key group, and this part of it, just a final part of it before we then sort of start to unpack it. So already within this conflict, some profound hypocrisies of the West and double standards are already starting to emerge. And let me give you an example. So one of the Assyrian rebel groups, arguably the largest, is a group called HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. And this is run by the leader of this group is a guy called Abu Muhammad al-Jalani. Now, the reason this is significant, you don't need to remember all of this, is that the Labour government in the West are considering making his group, which was once essentially Al-Qaeda, they're considering removing its definition as a terrorist group.
Oh.
So because they're a rebel group, even though they were Al-Qaeda, this is remarkable, the West is now deciding that they may pick and choose whether they call them a terrorist organization.
Because they want what they're doing.
Because now they agree that with what they're doing, because essentially they've taken out a state leader that they don't like.
God, but what is this going to mean for the Syrian people again? I mean, there's joy and there's like celebrating in the streets, but what's going to happen next for these? That's what I'm thinking. That population have been through hell and back. I mean, Assad and Putin practicing with their he used chemical warfare on his own people many times. He's killed literally hundreds of thousands of people. And now there will be that joy. Assad has gone, but what is coming in?
Now, what is coming in?
And different kind of hell.
Yeah.
We just don't know.
Edward Beverton, you notice that. Really keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on. I'm not talking about the rights and wrongs of Hamas first. I'm not getting into the details of who should not be a terrorist organization, whether they should be. But let's just look at the interesting way in which the West gyrates around a situation in a country where, suddenly the organization that has brought about this kind of change of leadership is a terrorist organization. But actually, in this instance, we can change the rules. Because we agree with what they're doing. We like what they're doing.
Yeah, because just for a minute, they're going to be playing our game.
Yes.
So now we can we'll remove the terrorist
and I think it's
label.
important to pay attention to this because it's
we'll
entirely
just
arbitrary.
Watch it unfold.
It's entirely arbitrary. And finally, Israel is arguably a side player. They're the only military in the area that is bombing in Damascus with planes and fighter jets. They are seeking to essentially completely kneecap Syria so that however it reemerges from its own kind of chaos, Israel has essentially kind of neutered it and neutered its armory and all that kind of stuff. This is a fascinating moment, and yes, on the one hand, the feeling is that
doom cycle. Obama called it the other day. Yeah,
and just a couple of other details. It's known that the Americans have tipped $500 million into the coffers of many of these organizations that are currently rebelling against Assad. And I think the thing that's important here is you've got lots of kind of right-wing Zionist sympathizing Israeli government supporting individuals saying, you all support, no one supports Assad. You can have more than one bad thing and you can have more than one good solution. And what we have here, Assad, bad. You could have someone else coming in who is good for getting rid of Assad, but still bad in another way. I mean, Oh, and on this, Tilly Long, I just saw your comment. Mark and Nadia, please can you recommend some things you've watched, read to understand Syria, the broader context? It's really important to go to get a broad breadth of kind of, reference points on this. The Guardian, the BBC and the Telegraph. The reason I say the Telegraph, which is a really outwardly right-wing paper, is it just gives you the different perspectives and twists. And so what you will generally get from those 3 publications is the same details told in slightly different ways. It's up to you. You can't help people to kind of make their judgment on that. But
I want to ask Dad if we could film him and just have a conversation with my dad as well, because, like you say, the nuances. And then he talks so beautifully, doesn't he?
And
about
Syria
the complications of it.
Very complicated.
Very complicated. I'm not saying much because I don't know much. We're going to be feeling away and finding out with you, really, but. Well done, you. Bloody hell. I asked a question last night and he's gone off and he's gone.
No. But also, I think the final thing on this is, and I think this is and it's not often, it's like, sometimes you ask a teacher a question and it's quite refreshing when a teacher goes, I don't actually know. Let me find that out. I think what you're witnessing or experiencing in the Western press is a kind of lull. Because I think even the journalists with an intimate understanding of the Middle East are trying to work out where everything's going to land. How is this all going to land? How is this going to settle? Where are the loyalties? Where are the connections? I think research is happening right now into the financial and military backing of various rebel groups. Who's supporting who? Where is the narrative coming from? So, to be honest with you, I think in the fog of war, this has happened so quickly in literally 12 days, virtually since we spoke to you last. This has happened. I woke up on Sunday or whatever day it was. I said, oh my God, the Assad regime has
just couldn't believe it.
Overthrown.
And it's like a movie, watching the videos of them releasing prisoners, people dancing in the street. People just broken, people joyful. It's like a movie. Christos, exactly. It's the tactic of create the problem, then offer the solution, create instability, and then put in the government and imposter for the benefit of the West, in a nutshell.
Which can I just add on that? Some argue is exactly what Zelensky is. Some say.
Some say. I'm so glad you've reminded us of this. We wanted to talk about.
Christos,
we forgot.
You sent us this as well.
Have you seen Christmas Crib in Rome? Pope made a big statement that baby Jesus is in a Palestinian scarf. Wow. Yes, thank you so much, and we did forget that. Search it up, guys. It is quite an extraordinary. I mean, Dina was just blown away by that yesterday, wasn't she? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for reminding us.
So I think, so hopefully that just helps you understand that it's actually, I think even all of the main news gatherers are trying to make sense of a rapidly evolving, difficult situation. But I just think if we were to kind of just step to the side of the seriousness of everything involved here and look at this through the lens of a show like South Park, just for a minute, isn't it bizarre how suddenly the West could be dining with ISIS in some curious twist? And so if it can happen there, it shouldn't require an enormous imagination to understand how other sort of groups that are fighting for whatever purposes could be reconsidered or rethought through or looked at again. This is impossible.
Elaine Denning, I just want to read out Elaine's message here. Every school year at the end of Christmas term, we had 2 hours with the headmaster in the hall and we could ask him any question we wanted to. Don't know if he was a genius or a narcissist.
Oh, wow.
Was it boring? Just imagining 2 hours sat with the headmaster. Very odd.
Did he? Okay, well, I suppose the answer to that is this.
Was he learning what he needed to spend more time on? I mean, it sounds like genius to me.
Did he have the answers?
No, but the great thing is if he didn't have the answers, how did he, did he then say, oh, do you know what? I don't know, but let's look into that next up. That's great.
But then none of the kids would have known if he had the answers because they don't know the answers.
No, but if he says, I don't know, but I'm going to look into that and we'll discuss that next time, that's teaching people that it's okay to say, I don't know. Yeah. As long as you still then inquire after that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We say that to our girls all the time. Just it's okay to say, oh, I don't know what that means or what does that. It's okay.
I think it's really, and I want to just share this. There's a film, oh my God, what's the name of it? Someone remind me, the new Ray Fiennes, I've just reviewed it. Conclave, that's what it's called. Conclave. God,
there was a whole 3 seconds there where you're going to remember
no,
a
I
film.
can never remember. And a Conclave, where he plays, it's a kind of thriller set in the Vatican, and he plays this.
Oh,
sort of
God, I wanted to see that.
Yeah. Anyway, so and there's a great line in it where he talks about, and I'm going to completely destroy the quote. It's beautifully put. And I listened to an interview with Ray Fiennes over the weekend where he was talking about the very nature of this concept, and it's so important, I think, for discussions on every topic. His character says, as he's trying to get to the truth of a situation, he says he realizes, or he's discovered, or he believes in his faith and his journey, that one of the worst things you can have, or one of the most sort of, if you like, not evil, because he doesn't use that word, but one of the most damaging things you can possess as a human is certainty.
Oh,
He said to feel you are in possession of certainty.
what in anything?
It tugs against the ability to have faith, because his belief is faith is about having doubt. It was a wonderful moment how what he was saying was to actually grapple with religious belief or any kind of sort of faith. Baked into it has to be an ability to embrace doubt and not be certain of what you believe and what you feel.
Sounds like a disclaimer to me.
Well, no, what I thought about it was actually when you
Sounds
think
like
of
an
most of
insurance policy.
no, but when you think of most of the wankers that you know in your life and in the world and who lead countries, what makes them repulsive is they're so certain of everything
because
they're
people
saying.
because other people want certainty to feel safe,
even if it's a lie.
even if it's like Elaine back on her 2-hour headmaster. Boring as hell, Nads. He never admitted to not knowing the answers. No, he was a narcissist then. There we go. I'm certain. I've never met him. Only know these few things. But he sounds like a bit of an egomaniac to me. We know a teacher, don't we, that would constantly tell us about. Do you remember the egomaniac headmaster she worked for, who took the main parts in the school plays and everything
my God.
off the kids?
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to share this, Edward Bevington. I try to learn one new thing a day. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I don't, Edward.
No. And even if it's learning one thing, or
I tried.
You do. I mean, you're constantly inquiring and going through podcasts and finding stuff.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And when you're snagged by something like Syria, I know for a fact you'll go deep into that.
Yeah. But we will try and find some other things. Going back to, was it Ellie no, not Ellie, somebody that Lily who asked where to look. We're gonna find out where to look.
Yeah.
And then we'll share that with you too.
Well, the one absolute guaranteed answer I can tell you, without wishing to sound a bit Ray-fine, is there will be no certain place of information. Nothing is honest.
But it's good to just look everywhere. Like people, Al Jazeera English, they do a lot of really good in-depth films on their YouTube channel. AJ Plus, they do as well. Mm-hmm. And then, like Mark says, The Guardian and the BBC. And it's just funny to watch The Telegraph and The Mail. So when you look, I mean, they're just so certain and so extreme.
That's my point.
And so manipulative.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, it's just interesting watching. It's really interesting reading The Telegraph talk about a terrorist organisation as a saviour. It's really odd.
It's just it's
the twisting, turning nonsense.
Hypocrisy.
Okay, we're going to talk about the Jay-Z accusation, but I think we should talk about Lizzie.
Well, I'm just waiting on something from Lizzie to come in, so why don't we do the
Jay-Z? So Jay-Z, well, there's not a lot to say here other than Jay-Z, obviously the hip-hop star, rapper, has been accused in a civil case. So this is, whenever you hear people say civil versus criminal, civil is about money and damages. It doesn't mean that the cases don't have validity, and it doesn't mean that they didn't happen. But more often than not, and sometimes it's not always the case. I'm not a legal expert at all, but more often than not, it relates to kind of cases or incidents or things that might have happened that are beyond the ability of a court to kind of treat criminally, because there's a kind of period of time, isn't there? That
in America, it's quite short, isn't it? It's like you've only a statute of something or other. There's only a certain amount of time that you can bring certain cases forward. So that's why it happened with a lot of the Weinstein cases, didn't it? Where they took civil action instead of court action. But in this case, that's the what I don't understand about it is, Mark, is Jay-Z's lawyers are saying this is the most awful of crimes. And if this has happened, surely you would want this tried in a court of law. This is Jay-Z's lawyers, rather than a civil case, because this is the most awful of all crimes.
Don't forget, I mean, I think
which I didn't really understand, because there is a statute of limitations, it's called.
Yes, I mean, I think the thing to always bear in mind, and this isn't to suggest for a minute that he's necessarily guilty.
We have no idea.
No, I mean, and no one will know.
Idea.
No, exactly. And so the fact of the matter is, this is brought against him and Diddy. This is I think what's interesting about this, or potentially interesting or troubling, is this feels like the first instance where another major sort of celebrity is getting caught up or is part of the kind of collateral damage of what's going on around Diddy himself. But Jay-Z has pushed back really hard on this. And even though he's pushed back, and though, yes, you're right, he says this thing in his response or his legal response, he says something, my lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Busby, What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle on a civil case accusation of rape of a 13-year-old. No, sir, it had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion, so I will not give you one red penny. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. This lawyer, who I've done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these types of theatrics. And he goes on and he goes into more detail, and it's quite a robustly public pushback. Now, no one's going to know, and the complainant or the person who's the claimant who's put the case before the court, they call them a Jane Doe, don't they, and John Doe and all that. This could be a blackmail attempt.
Yeah,
I mean that's the problem, and I think this is one of those aspects of celebrity at a certain level, so in a weird way, is him demanding, well, if this is the case, go for a criminal case. It could be a sort of passive aggressive move. It could be a really robust attempt to just shut something down in the strongest of terms. But
it's like we said ages ago, isn't it, when this all first came out about Puff Daddy, because so many people went to parties with him. This is just going to go on and on. Practically every famous person that we know from American famous, I think at some point there's going to be some discussion around them. Oh, look, Reese has a bit of detail on the last line. Let me just read this and I'll go back to you, Reese. I look forward to showing you just how different I am. Reese says, that's the final line of Jay-Z's public kind of statement. The last line, I look forward to showing you who I am, he added after the fact, as in he tweeted the original statement without it, deleted it, and then added it. Oh, what do you think? What do you think the underlying meaning of that could be? Just quickly, I just want to share this thought here from Erin. Toffs, YouTube censorship is a nightmare. I was trying to explain some of the politics of the groups involved, but something got every comment blocked. I think you were suggesting earlier that maybe even the word rebel, which is, if the word rebel is going to be blocked by YouTube, hang on one second. One thing we're not going to be able to talk about ever is Star Wars. I mean, it's mad. I mean, we're getting to a very scary place if that's the truth. Yeah, no, but it's interesting. I've got to just run to the loo. Oh, okay, sweetheart. No, go for it. Whilst Nadia runs to the loo, and we are going to talk about Lizzie, because Nads has been in touch with her over the morning. It's horrendous. I just want to share with you this clip. Just going to sidestep for a moment towards Christmas. People are strapped for cash. There are lots of things. People often ask us, are you going to Winter Wonderland? And we went many, many years ago, almost in its origin, at the point of its origin days. And it was kind of less of a kind of big affair, you could argue. But I just wanted to share this post by someone who visited. It's helpful as well because the sun is bleaching us out. But check this out. If anyone's thinking of going to Winter Wonderland, just show them this.
Of Winter Wonderland. I feel like I'm going to struggle putting into words how absolutely f***ing shit this place actually is, but I'll try my best, so here goes. The slight saving grace for this place is that it only costs a £5 per person to get in, but somehow even that feels like a rip-off. And pre-booked or not, just like everywhere in London, get ready for a queue to go in. It opened in 2007, and each year it's been getting bigger and bigger, and shitter and shitter. Now I'm doing this review through the eyes of someone who's bringing kids here, which I think's fair, because who in their right mind would want to come here as a fully grown adult anyway? As soon as you get in, all you'll be doing is telling your kids to stay close, and clinging onto them for dear life. It's so busy, and with the stench of vape smoke and stale candy floss in the air, it really gives it that magical Christmas feel. On to some rides next. I mean, this little Santa's Express train wasn't too bad for London prices at £5 each, but as expected it was shit and lasted about 10 seconds. Again, this kid's swing chair ride for a £5 each wasn't too bad either. And after that was finished, I thought I'd treat us all to some nice warm Christmassy hot chocolates. So 3 classic ones and 1 Terry's chocolate orange came to £26. Yeah, they might have a little flake on top, but they aren't even that big. 26 quid. What the is happening to this country? But anyway, after that I thought I'd cheer us up with the most depressing looking churros I'd ever seen for £7.50. There are some nice little Christmassy pubs scattered about, but knows how much a pint is in there. The adult rides are about a tenner I think, and not trying to knock this place too much, but the ice skating doesn't quite have the same magical feel that I'd imagine Central Park does. Through all the enjoyment, if your phone does run out of battery though, nothing screams 21st century Christmas quite like portable phone chargers. To sum this place up, it's way too busy to enjoy, and it stinks of shit. It's got 0 Christmas Christmas feel to it, and it just feels more like a giant-sized fun fair. Also, be careful on the way out, as these dodgy geezers try and give your kid a balloon that if they take it without you looking, they'll try and charge you for. Yeah, so overall, avoid it like the plague. See you next time.
The reason I wanted to share that, and yes, it's funny, and yes, unfortunately, it's true. It's become such a con. I mean, I've never been a fan of fun fairs, and there's that wonderful kind of. I was there the other night. I was out in town just doing shit, and the lovely, what was it, Ferris? Not Ferris. What was the thing that the horses go around? And merry-go-round, and that's £5, £5 a go.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking, my God, okay, well, you got tourists. A tourist might take a hit. But you go on one of those rides, that one with the kids sort of flying around, £5 each kid, and it lasts 20 seconds. Don't go.
It's just
unbelievable.
We went years ago, didn't we? We got invited, and we had a really nice time. We had it was right at the beginning.
Yeah, right.
And then we went a couple of other times after that, and then we just stopped going because it's just the prices. And of course, it's not just them.
No.
Prices everywhere have gone insane. We can't do this anymore to people. And the thing is, I think a lot of people turn up at these events with their children and then get the shock of all shocks when they get there. And then you get lots of unhappy kids. So big advice this Christmas, check out each price for each thing before you go, because there's nothing worse than having to turn around and take your kids home without having gone on anything.
Yeah, as Edward Beveridge says, 10 years ago, maybe. Yeah, absolutely. 7 dials is nice. Look, the other thing is, if you're in London, there are so many great places
Really
you can
pretty.
go to that are pretty. I mean, Covent Garden, for everything that's annoying about it,
It's
you get
very
street
pretty.
entertainers too. You'll get that hit and that vibe.
So you could take your kids there and they're going to feel really Christmassy, and, you're not going to have to spend anything if you don't want,
absolute rip-off. And they, and before anyone who does fun fair says, "Oh, thanks, it's happy." Yeah, there's business, and then there's just absolutely taking the piss.
Not all fun fairs are that. We're just saying, just be really careful, because we've had other people message and say, we took our kids, we had no idea how much it was going. I mean, if you can afford it, fine, but just do check out properly.
Yeah,
because little crying faces just breaks my heart, the thought of it. You go up there and then you can't afford to go on anything. Just awful.
Anyway, so
the reason I kept delaying and why I've been looking on my phone is because I was waiting for a final answer from Lizzie. Now, many of you know Lizzie on here, Lizzie Greenwood, who was on a hunger strike. We did a big interview with her here, and then I did a live on Instagram. And she did a 35-day hunger strike, living on 250 calories, just as the Palestinians are expected to and have been doing for quite a while now. She's phenomenal. She's everything that we know about her we were just in awe of. Just really passionate, very, very upset, hurt, frustrated, angry, like so many of us are, about the fact that there's just seems to be this silence from our government when 70% of this country want us to stop arming Israel. And so she had gone on this hunger strike in the hope to get some sort of something from them. And at the time, I think we told you, she wrote to 30 MPs. Nobody answered her. Eventually, just towards the end of her strike, her own MP came back to it with a very half-hearted response. Just shocking. I think shocking because we do put these people in power. We do essentially pay their wages. And I think that she deserved an answer anyway. She came off a hunger strike for health reasons. She felt really bad about it, which broke our heart. She said, I feel shame, I feel guilt. And we were like, oh my God, you're a young woman that has really followed through with your passion and with your sense of injustice and with your conscience. Well, on Saturday, I was so upset by this text that I got from her. I just couldn't believe it, could I, Mark? I was like, what the hell? She was quite panicked. I'm just trying to find the first text she sent us. Just wanted to reach out. I found out that there is currently a warrant out in Manchester for my arrest related to pro-Palestine activity. Apparently, the police, the Great Manchester Police, kicked down the door of my old flat where her father lives. She doesn't live there anymore. Early this morning. I really haven't done anything they could possibly charge me with. She then went on to say that they arrested 5 other activists. They were all released without charge. I just felt absolutely just horrified for it. You know, the mum in me, I was like, what? And you've just starved yourself for 35 days. As Dina said, she will be feeling that's a lot, that 35 days. That, you know, sort of the isolation of it, the, you know, just the physicality of it, what it will have done to her brain. So anyway, so then we got an update yesterday, which is that she has to hand herself in today at 10 o'clock to the police with no idea of why. She said this morning, she said, I'm all over the place, if I'm honest. Of course
I'm not
you are,
surprised.
darling. I said, of course you are. Anyway, so she was told that it was Ashton police station. That's why I kept checking here. And obviously there are other activists going there for support, to give her support as she goes in, because this is very frightening, you know. And she's just had a message, and I found this really horrible. And the message said, they've just told me that there might not be capacity, inverted commas, for me at Ashton, so they might move the police station last minute. She said, this just feels like a mind game because they're making it clear they intend to put me in a cell.
And they haven't specified, because it's allegedly under the Anti-Terrorist Act, is it?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, what she says here is that she believes, of course, nobody can know anything because nobody's told, but she believes, so here we go. Despite a lack of charges, all activists have had car, phones, and all personal items indefinitely confiscated.
Indefinitely confiscated?
And were given a strict police curfew. Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham recently granted police total powers to investigate the theft of a Wiseman statue from Manchester University. Powers, she says it feels like, of course we do not know, we're not saying anything is certain, seemingly being abused by the Great Manchester Police in order to intimidate, isolate and harass Palestine campaigners en masse. This is what she feels, right? We don't know anything about what is really happening here. We don't know what they're charging her with. I really wanted to know by this time at what police station she was. It's either going to be Ashton Police Station or Central Parks Police Station. So if anybody is in that area and wants to go and give support and be there for her, she's, like she says, it feels like they are going to put her in a cell because they've said we don't have capacity. We might not have capacity.
I just want to mention this. Helena B says, are we living in a communist country? I'd rephrase that. Are we living in a fascist country? I mean, you know, this is, I can't believe we theoretically live in a country we describe as a democracy, and that under the auspices of a terrorism act, you can have any form of arresting of what feels like anyone expressing any opinion. Obviously, we don't know the exact details.
We don't know. She might have said something that like is somewhere technically you're not allowed to. We don't know. We haven't got a clue. But all I know from our own experience of her is that she just is a very impassioned, committed person with a real conscience that was trying to do something for that conscience, you know. And at the moment, this is just petrifying. She's just recovering from a 35-day hunger strike and she's going into bloody station with no idea what for. And that feels to me outrageous. Now, thank God she has said to me, I said, have you got a solicitor with you? She's got a solicitor who does work with activists. So, I mean,
well, obviously,
with the grace of God, go any of us.
But can I just let's just pause for a moment, because I was just about to say, of course, we'll keep you posted. But this is truly Orwellian, and this is truly Kafkaesque and deeply, darkly dystopian. If we can't tell you what's going to happen next, because we're not allowed to, and she's not told, and no one's told. This is deeply disturbing. This is the kind of thing that does just creep. This just creeps. And there's Starmer, the so-called humanitarian lawyer, standing at the helm of this country. I'll tell you one thing I have noticed about Starmer. I'm not one for big one for this kind of thing. I think he needs to get back to this country. He's plopping around the world an awful lot, seeking to shore up relationships, and is ignoring almost everything that happens in this country. He has not even acknowledged Amnesty International's declaration that a genocide is happening in Gaza.
We haven't spoken about that. They've got a 300-page report.
And let's just pause for a minute. The Telegraph, yet again in an act of total hypocrisy, is quoting Amnesty International this morning about the Assad regime. So we can quote Amnesty International about Assad. These blatant shows of total hypocrisy need to be constantly called out. And the next time a journalist gets Starmer in front of them, asking them about change and the plan for change, just bolt on to the end of the fucking interview a question about, tell us your thoughts on Amnesty International's assessment.
The most recognised and respected human rights organisation is unequivocal.
Well, also, what they can't do is pick and choose what Amnesty International declares about other people. If they pick and choose it and they ignore it, you're either with it or you're against it.
Well, it's the same with the ICC, isn't it?
Yeah, but the reason
if you're telling me I've done anything wrong, then you're an appalling organisation. If you're telling my enemy they've done something wrong, then bring it on.
I mean, you know, Nick, for all these people who get opportunities to interview these fucking politicians, slip in the tricky questions. That's your job. Your job isn't to be told what questions you can ask for the 20-minute interview.
No.
Your job isn't to be told by the Prime Minister's assistant, this is what we're talking about. Your job is to do that, to get access, and then at the end do it again. But you know why they don't? Because then the assistant to the Prime Minister won't put you on the list for the next junket.
Exactly.
It's like, use the same analogy as when a film studio pays for you to do the interview and you rubbish the film, they ain't going to invite you to the next interview.
It's interesting that James O'Brien, no politicians go on there.
Yeah.
So that will tell you a lot.
Absolutely.
And you know, I mean, Nick Ferrari, when he's had that Israeli minister on, oh my God. He just literally just asks the questions. They can ask whatever they answer, whatever they want, and then he just goes on to the next question like he's reading it off a sheet.
Yeah. Again,
and if that's what it feels like, that's what it looks like. We don't know, but that's what it feels like.
Once again, it just screaming out for a petition where, you know, and when I say journalists challenge them, I mean, I know a lot of people said when I was clamoring for a petition to do what they do in America, like the press briefings, people saying, yeah, but our press won't ask those questions. No, you're right. They don't and they won't. But, you know, hopefully you might be able to slip in a few of the non-legacy media representatives in there, even if it's just Al Jazeera or someone somewhere that isn't part of this establishment. The establishment press in this country is so profoundly prejudiced, jaundiced and compromised. It's not fit for purpose.
Elaine Denning, absolutely. And that's what Lizzie says. The reason they're keeping and wanting to move it is because they don't want any protesters.
Yeah. Exactly.
So if anyone is in the Manchester area and can go to either Ashton Police Station or Central, my God, I wish I could get on a bloody train and go there today. I really wish I could, but I can't because I've got too many commitments, but I would be there if I could.
Minky Moo, let's stop teaching our kids activism and critical thinking then. Bring in mindless repetition of state-agreed thinking.
And where does that take us?
Yeah. It's happening. It's happening all the time. Please,
can everybody that feels that there is a bit of an injustice going on here, can you please follow Lizzie I always get it wrong, Mark. It's Witherington, isn't it? Lizzie for Withington. No R, Withington. Yeah. And it's the number 4, Lizzie for Withington. And if you can copy, you know, also tag in Greater Manchester Police, because it feels like they're playing games here with her and with anyone that might want to support her and might want to ask more questions about exactly why is this happening. You know, she said they harassed her father. I mean, it's just outrageous. It's just bloody outrageous. Really and it's really wonderful for her if she's sat in a cell tonight, and if it is under the Terrorist Act, we know they can keep her for 5 days without any phone call, without any.
I wonder if we're
I've given my number to. She's given her number to a friend of hers, so she can keep us hopefully updated.
I wonder if we're going to be in a situation where us talking about her somehow is in breach of the terror. I mean, you were getting to a ludicrous situation. It'll happen. So if we're suddenly not on air one day and we haven't given you a reason, then contact us.
I wouldn't be at all bloody surprised the way things seem to be going now.
Madness. Okay, we're going to end on a funny clip, Nadia. Does it need teeing up?
Oh, this is just so cute. Just wait for the end.
Shall I hit play?
Yeah.
Who is here, sir? Your arkadaş here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can tell my arkadaş.
Yeah.
You can come in the garden.
Oh. Yeah.
I can come in the garden.
Yeah.
I come in the garden. That's so cute.
Because she was talking in German.
Who is here, sir?
arkadaşı.
Your arkadaş here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sen tanımaya arkadaş.
yeah.
You can come in the garden.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I can come in the garden.
yeah.
Oh, I remember
I
Maddie
watched
talking
it.
like that.
Well, Dina sent me
my
another
God.
one of these with this little
Oh
girl
my
and said,
God,
"Oh my
she's
God,
so like Maddie
it's
was.
Maddie."
That
But
emphasis.
what I love is she's learning Turkish. She's at Turkish lessons.
Mm.
But she doesn't know how to say the next bit
No,
in
so
Turkish.
she
So
pivots.
she inhabits the character of somebody
So
talking
sweet.
Turkish.
That's
We're going to Gordon.
So sweet, so sweet. Oh,
Oh
well,
my
look,
God.
demonstrate-
Apparently I used to do that when I was little. I go, I'm looking to go with her and we try
What
to
do you mean you
speak
used
to-
to?
What?
You and Dina still do it every minute of the day.
Do
Yes.
What do you mean?
You are both watching you both potter around and moving around each other. It's like a couple of toddlers.
I know.
I don't get
We
terror
do go
from.
back to exactly like that's why she keeps hitting me all the time.
And spraying mace in your face.
Well, it wasn't really
Wasn't
mace.
really
It was antiperspirant deodorant. Watch last night's Vlogmas if you
It was
want to
the
see.
night before.
God almighty.
Anyway, guys, keep watching Vlogmas.
Please
Do
follow
subscribe.
Lizzie. Please follow Lizzie. Please tag in
Yeah.
Greater Manchester Police and say we would just like to know what is going on. Why is this young woman being arrested?
Yeah, I mean, how can one get that? I'm a great one for trying to find where's the way round. No one, not even the person you're arresting, being allowed to know. So if the police are the police arresting allowed to know? Because I think MeTube said a couple of days ago, sometimes MI5, MI6 will put out a request for arrest without giving the police information. So sometimes it's not actually the police being obstructive.
Well,
It can be that if it's come, and this is interesting, this is deeply Orwellian. I mean, when I say Orwell,
oh
Big
yes,
Brother.
you did MeTube the other day, so they don't have to.
Yeah,
say.
MI5, MI6. If they cite it as a security concern, they will not give information to the.
Well, all we know at the moment is it's just Greater Manchester Police have said that she has to come to the police station to be arrested. Oh God.
Send her
The
all of
mum
our
in me
thoughts.
just is
Yeah,
like,
of course. Anyway, have a great day, guys, and demonstrate your support
yeah.
and stay plugged in.
And if we find out anything, we will tell you straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow for a live. There will be a members thing happening. We're just working out logistics this end, and we'll let you know in the members area. All right, guys, see you later. Bye.